Good evening. We call the meeting of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners to order. Mr. Brown, has the meeting been properly advertised?
Yes, sir, it has.
Good. See evidence thereof. This time we're going to ask Bishop Benton to come and lead us in our prayer and pledge of allegiance. And while you're there, sir, I know you might want to make mention of the Christmas event that you have coming up.
Yes, sir. Good evening, board, and good evening, Chairman. We certainly do appreciate this opportunity to be here. We are preparing for a Christmas gala, United Ministerial Alliance, and we're certainly inviting each one of you to it. It will be Saturday at, let me make sure I get it right, at the 6 o'clock hour at 406C South Main Street here. It is the building in which our church is located, but there's an event center that we have there, and that is certainly designed so that we might all have a festive occasion as we get ready to close out this year. So I wanted to extend that invitation to each one of our board members.
Sir, amen. Stand now for our invocation and our pledge.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we want to take a moment, first of all, and appreciate you for who you are. I want to thank you for your goodness, for your mercy, and for your grace towards us. I want to pray for us individually and collectively as a county, that you would bless not only this meeting, Father, but the citizens thereof. And for this, Father, we thank you in advance for what you're getting ready to do. Thank you for this year that we're about to bring to a close, how you've kept us, you sustained us, and blessed us even to this moment. And so, Father, we give you thanks, and we ask these blessings now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bishop, we do know we constantly hear we're losing some community members. We know that Commissioner Thrift is out because she lost her husband, John, who was me, Gary, and Eddie's schoolmate. Well, Gary's classmate.
Yeah, John, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what, let me just yield. I know you're going to mention Mrs. Miller. Do Miss Miller and John, if you will, please.
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, John and I graduated high school together, Bradwell, 1974, and I was talking to some of the classmates. We have this group, and we remember John at our 30-year reunion. We hadn't had a reunion in a few years, and John came and he served as he gave the welcome, and you know that's what everybody was talking about. And I would see John around town from time to time, but hadn't seen him in a while, so I didn't even know he was sick. And sometime in the back before we come out here, I'll catch Connie and I say, "How my old classmate doing?" And she'll say, "You know, he's, you know, we're retiring. You know, they both retired. They closed the shop." But John was a great guy, and you know, we're sure going to miss him. The class of '74, you know, pay respects. I went to the wake. I wasn't able to make the funeral, but some of the other classmates showed up, and you know, we're just going to miss him. So just wanted to. I talked to Connie a little bit through text, and I saw her the night of the viewing, and you know, we just pray that the Lord continue to bless her and comfort her on the loss of her husband. And from my old neighborhood, my old Rebecca Street neighborhood, where I grew up, Miss Edna Mae Miller, local businesswoman. She had a lot of rental property, her and her husband, Mr. Joseph Miller, and she was a proprietor after her husband passed of Miller Funeral Home right there on Main Street. She passed on Sunday. She was 96. I remember her and my Aunt Ernestine. You know, they were both, you know, little petite women, and they were like a year apart. So my Aunt Ernestine is 95 now. Miss Miller was a year old at 96. And the last I saw Miss Miller was at my aunt's 95th birthday party. She came. She was in the assisted living home in Jessup. And she came in, you know, still in a sound mind. She recognized everybody. I was always like a son to her, you know, a son. She had one daughter, but she said I was like a son. She used to always tell my mom and dad, if you don't want him, I'll sure take him, you know, so that was, but every year she would track me down, and didn't matter where I was. If she'll come by the office, and she always gave me a ham every year for Christmas. I mean, for as long as I can remember. But we're going to miss her, and you know, we just pray that she's found rest beyond the river, and we just pray that the Lord comforts the family.
Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Now, Commissioner Jones is also out. There's been a loss of his family. Commissioner Stevens, you wanted to make reference to that loss?
Yes, I would say that Brother Randy Baker, the brother to our commissioner from the 4th District, Maxie Jones, and Karen Jones, and the other Neil, and the other members of the family. I worked with Randy for many years at Interstate Paper until he retired. Randy was the kind of person like this. He could go to work in the powerhouse over at what we call the woods. If I go over there and brush against something, when I come out, I was dirty. Randy could go to work with a pair of spit-shine shoes on, starch pants in the morning time, and when he come out in the afternoon, he was the same way. But he got the job done. So that's what kind of person Randy was in life, and also in a spiritual way, he was the same person. Clean, and made sure that he did what he could do for people in life. He will be well missed. I think the service is going to be Saturday, 1 o'clock at St. James in Freeman Grove.
Thank you, sir. Several of us attended the visitation, and I was able to attend the funeral day for Lenny Darden Jr., Judge Darden's dad, so we certainly hold that family up in prayer also with the loss of Papa Darden. You may remember he used to apply for those funds to help save our children.
Help save our children.
Many years he would come and get those funds to help. He had a heart for at-risk youth, so we certainly honor his legacy today. Have I missed anybody?
No.
All right. Certainly we pray for everybody. My mom would say mankind everywhere. That's what Mom says. Okay. All right. At this time, we're going to have a proclamation. Bring one for the chipper. Ms. Karen Bell and her teammate. Here.
Mr. Chairman, before Ms. Bell, I want to ask a question. Is there a contest for who bring the most trees? I know the city and the county are always competing. This is not that. You don't get a trophy for this, do you?
No, sir, but we
Okay.
do require everyone's help, especially from ESG and the Liberty County Solid Waste and the Recycling Center. That's the only way we can get the trees to
Okay.
the location, so we appreciate that.
It'll still be at the same location, the drop-off point? Okay.
Recycling transfer.
I'll tell the guys, okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
There's no trophy, no.
We'll think of something.
Well, you do get a free tree, seal it if you do recycle your tree, or bring any gently used shoes or clothing. So our Bring One for the Chipper will be on January the 6th at the Recycling Transfer Center. If you don't know where that is, that's right across from the new Jet gas station and McDonald's. So now we got 2 reference points for that. It's important to recycle our trees for a couple reasons. One, we can make mulch out of it that we can use in playgrounds. In your, if you have a garden or your backyard, you can use it. So it can also go into our recreation areas. Plus, Fort Stewart use them for lakes, and I believe our recreation use them also for lakes, for fish habitat, or to stop the erosion. So if you have a live tree, not a fake one, but a live tree, we ask that you, after your celebration, either after New Year's or the day after Christmas, that you recycle them. They can put them to the curb of their house, and they would be, if you're in Hinesville area, at the curve of your house, and they'd be picked up and brought there, or you can take them to any Liberty County recycling center or convenience center, and they will be recycled. Or you can, oh, thank you, ma'am. Make sure they have no lights, no decoration on them at all. As pretty as they are, we cannot do anything with them. So, and the base, please take the base off. You can also bring it that day, January the 6th, at the Recycle Center transfer point between 9 and 1, and pick up a free tree. You can go online right now and actually reserve your tree or 2, or 3. We're giving away about 350 trees. So if any of the recreation department needs some, or your city or any in your district, please let us know and we'll put some aside for you. That's all I have, sir.
This is a proclamation of Liberty County Board of Commissioners, bring one for the Chipper Day. Whereas recycling reduces the waste stream, thus saving tax dollars and improving our environment. And whereas Liberty County is committed to reducing the waste stream, thus helping the state of Georgia reach a per capita waste disposal reduction goal. And whereas the Keep Georgia Beautiful Foundation, the Home Depot, Davy Tree Expert Company, Georgia Forestry Commission, WXIA 11 Alive, Ferry Morse Company, and Burpee Seed Company are sponsoring the 33rd year of the Bring One for the Chipper tree recycling program. And whereas this program promotes recycling of Christmas trees into usable mulch material and provides Liberty County residents an easy drop-off point site. Now, there be it resolved that I, Donald L. Lovett, Chairman of Liberty County, do hereby proclaim Saturday, January 6, 2024, as Bring One for the Chipper Day in Liberty County, duly entered in the minutes of Liberty County this 5th day of December, 2023.
And I do want to mention the trees that we're giving away are donated. They are not funds that we have to spend on them, and that's always a blessing.
If y'all will join us.
Billy, I need to borrow some money. You still got the money loaning them?
No, I'm out of that business. Yeah, and I don't have any loans.
You ought to save some up.
Well, it's not a loan.
We should say tree.
Christmas starts caroling, Eddie.
Christmas.
Starts, yes, singing.
Okay. Start singing.
All right.
Christmas tree.
Appreciate the goodies, too.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy.
They never come without gifts.
Nice, nice. Y'all know what's here,
In fact, when Karen mentioned that the jet, I was reminded at the ribbon cutting, what day was that? Very recently, the jet store owner said that this jet, I think out of 52 locations, the most food sales has been out of this one in Hinesville, Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Brand
mean-
new, the most food sales have been, this one has set the records already for the food sales.
Yeah, I'm there
People
4
eat,
times a
he
week.
said, they can't keep the pieces on the shelf. Then they serve breakfast and, Miss Lewis, they serve breakfast and, yeah.
Lunch,
so,
and
yeah.
lunch, and lunch.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, long story short, they're doing very, very well already in Liberty,
Yeah.
Georgia. Proud of that. Proud of
Where's
that.
that you talking about?
Right out there, right across from the old hospital.
Oh, you
Uh-huh.
talking about, that's where you was talking about the other day at the parade. that
Mm-hmm.
Jet store.
Yeah, store, yes, sir.
Big things now,
Yeah,
them
yeah.
fuel places.
Yeah.
and-
He said the fuel could use a few more sales, but when it comes to food, we're number one.
Well, you know, I think that's what Larry Golden's putting up right there.
Wawa.
Wawa.
He's in a Wawa.
Yeah.
He's in a Wawa. Our minutes for November will require our approval.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Motion and a second, we approve the minutes for November. Any further discussion, November 7th and 16th? All in favor, show of hands, please. Minutes are approved, thank you. All right, Finance, Ms. Samantha.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm here this evening to report on the county's September 23 financial statements. If you excuse my scratchy voice, I've been a little under the weather. As of the end of September, we have collected approximately 9% of our budgeted revenues for the general fund. We have spent approximately 21%. Looking at the departmental expenditures for general fund, there are a few that are running slightly ahead of schedule based on timing of vendor payments, things that are required to be paid at the beginning of the fiscal year. These departments include data processing, building maintenance, General Administration, and Superior Court. A few other variances, Department 1110, the governing body, is showing over budget due to some travel expenditures incurred related to the County Planning Commission. However, this department is not expected to exceed budget for the year. Animal Services is currently showing over budget due to some vehicle repairs that were required to be made early in the fiscal year. This department is not expected to exceed budget for the year. Additionally, the Community Services Department is running a little ahead of schedule due to having incurred some expenses for the Employee Wellness Fair. We are awaiting some grant funding that is expected to cover these expenses, and it will not run over budget for the year. Turning the page to solid waste. At the end of September, solid waste has a net income of approximately $570,000. We've collected 27% of total budgeted revenues for the year and have spent only approximately 14.2%. There are currently no departments in solid waste that are exceeding their individual budgets. And if we turn the page, the same is true for the special revenue funds. All of these funds are currently operating within their budget for the month of September. Moving on to the sales tax reports. First is sales tax 6. Although we are no longer collecting sales tax 6 funds, I have continued to include the report in your package just to show the various projects that we do still have in progress. Our revenue for sales tax 7 for September was a little over $1 million. This exceeded our original expectation by about $130,000. And since SPLOST 7 began, we have collected a total of $5.3 million. For T-SPLOST, for the month of September, we received $985,000. And collectively, for T-SPLOST, we have collected $32.7 million of the total $54 million. And this concludes September's report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, just got a question. I'm looking for it. There's monies that we on sales, I don't know if it's sales tax 6 or 5, I know, anyway, but for the road going to interstate paper, where is that sitting at?
That's in the T-Splosh.
In the, was it T-Splosh?
T-Splosh, yes, sir.
Okay. So are we going to have another sit-down meeting with them to see what their thoughts are, anticipation with the city of Riceboro and the county and industrial authority, like we did about, 4 years ago?
You want to renew that conversation?
Well, we need to renew it. If not, then we need to look at that money doing something else with it, if they do not want to participate.
I guess the question would be, if I may, Commissioner Stevens, is there anything you could do less than the total repayment project that would help that road?
And I guess,
Yeah, my engineer's not here, but
yeah, that would be up to Trent.
that's something we can talk about. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right, if the money's not going to be used, we can repurpose it, as they say.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Samantha.
I believe we also have another item on the agenda for finance this evening. And it's a request to, for a resolution to borrow funding. As you know, this is the county's leanest time of year while we await the property tax bills to be processed and mailed out. So we would like to have your approval to take out a short-term loan if it comes to that. This is purely precautionary, and we may not need to borrow anything at all, but we just want to be better safe than sorry.
Mr. Brown, if he would be in full transparency, when he mentioned that to me, I kind of froze. and he explained to me, kind of like Mr. Samantha, this is just a measure to have just in case.
In case, yes, sir.
But his, I'm gonna speak for you, sir, but his interpretation is that we think we'd be okay. But it's good to have this in place.
It is, and because we don't control when those receipts are gonna come in, normally those mortgage companies will be the first. You know, I think the bills hopefully will go out before Christmas, according to the tax commissioner. And then the mortgage companies are the higher remitter. Obviously, they try to get those in before the end of the year. So we don't anticipate a difference there, but even if they're transmitted by the end of the year, we won't get that payout until after January from the tax commissioner, or in January from tax commissioners.
Which was my next question, when he thought he'd get those bills in the mail. I hadn't had that conversation with him. Have you had?
Yes, sir, she has. That's what he's been meeting with the vendor and hoping to get them out before Christmas.
Okay, just, okay.
What do we have on it?
You've identified a local bank to do that. Have you got an
This-
interest rate?
We don't, because we don't know that we're gonna have to do it. But we've identified one that will be willing to do it. What we would do is go ahead and get this in place, and it would depend on what prime is at the time of borrowing the money, whether we have to, you know, when we have to do it.
What do we have left in, how many months of fund balance do we have?
Currently like 2.5.
Ooh,
That is the other thing that's a little bit of an issue this year, is the fund balance has gotten down to the minimum that's required. And so I know we often refer to that as a rainy day fund, but that's exactly what you're seeing now, is the reason you want to maintain in that fund balance, because during your very lean time, which we're in, you want to have enough to carry you 3 or 4 months if necessary to do that, so.
okay.
Mr. Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't, have we done this before?
We have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have. It's been
We
about
have.
3 years since we
3
did it
years
last
ago?
time. Yes, sir.
Okay. And during that time, it was precautionary,
It was,
was.
absolutely.
because I was about to say, I don't.
We did not
remember
actually
us-
have to go to the
Not
bank.
to use.
Okay.
Right.
And the same applies now. We won't do it unless we have to.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Any more questions about the
Well,
resolution?
are you accepting the money?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right, but, okay.
Be safe on, you know, and to go ahead and be prepared for it.
Second,
Motion and a second. Now, I feel there's some discussion to my right.
Right, I have some. Okay, just looking down at the bottom, whenever we discussing fund balance. So our fund balance for this current fiscal year is 2.5. Our previous fund balance from a year ago was 2.8. And I understand the differential in our budget from then to now. So are these numbers correct? If you understand
Yeah, I
the
think
question.
correct.
So what I'm asking is the 2.5 fund balance equivalent to our current budget, like the 2.8 from previous year current? Because there's a difference in the numbers.
And I think that answer is yes. Because
answer is yes.
she's identifying, right, recognizing the difference in the cost. Of course, it's costing more this year, obviously, than last year.
Right.
To do it, yeah.
So, I mean, we're looking at a 0.3 difference. So why didn't we do this last year, and what's so
I think,
for us doing it this year?
yeah, the one reason I can see for this year's tax bills did go out earlier last
Yeah,
year.
just having another tax.
They went
bills.
out at last of November last year.
Yeah, they went out earlier
haven't
last
gone
year.
out yet this year.
So we would have had those mortgage revenues
they-
coming in
right.
December.
I asked the same questions.
Okay. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
first time
Good question.
Yeah.
discussion
Yeah.
about this,
Good-
and
good
I'm
question.
just,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Good question.
Not unusual, not necessarily happen every year as we see, but not unusual for counties to have to do that, especially as they look at that, especially ones that are on the July fiscal year
Right.
to do that.
But majority are on that July, right?
Probably
For
the
the most part,
majority, a lot of them have moved
from the
in
county
October or
standpoint.
January.
Now,
yeah.
the municipals,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
They have their own drum and their own beat, but
Yeah.
I know from us, the majority of counties are
They still are, you're
are
right.
on this, okay. All right, I was just wondering, because basically, we almost had the same amount of fund balance from last year that we have this year. So
Bills-
the reason why we're doing this is because
Bills went out sooner.
the bills went out sooner,
Yeah,
but we're still looking like we shouldn't have to go this route.
Right.
hopefully not.
But also, I have the question, so if we do this resolution, that just gives you all the power to move forward regardless of no other say-so, because, right, with interest rates and everything, correct?
Correct, because if we
Giving
need it,
all
we
the
gotta pull,
power to, right now, correct?
to the chairman execute the
I mean,
notice.
that's what it is.
That's
seriously.
right. No, that's exactly right.
Right.
That's
I mean,
exactly
I know
right.
what it
There
sounds
is no
like.
time to come back and call a meeting and,
No,
you know, as those
no,
revenues
because
come and
once
go.
we sign this resolution,
Mhm.
it's
That's
saying
what you have to
that we're
do,
giving the
that's correct.
power.
But certainly the county manager and the chair would inform the commission that we had to move in that direction. We would never do.
And that's not what I was questioning, but I appreciate knowing that. I have full confidence in
Thank you,
you all
sir.
that you all wouldn't do that. It was just for clarification.
We don't wanna go borrow money.
Right. I mean, trust me,
No.
no, I mean, that's
We
not,
don't wanna do that.
No, and while we're talking, I mean, I knew, our tax commission's been out some. We celebrate the success last year of getting the bills out early. I hope we can go back to that again in subsequent years, get those bills out earlier. Yeah. In fact, if I remember correctly, some people, they were asking him when were the bills gonna, be out, so they could go ahead and take care of that prior to the end of the year, so I think we're gonna be all right, sir. I think we'll be all right, sir.
okay.
All right.
All confidence in
Thank
you
you,
all.
sir. All in favor of the, pass the motion resolution, show of hands, please. All right, motion passes. We will definitely keep you informed should this have to happen.
Yeah, correct. I would have, definitely.
Thank you, Mayor. My agenda says Mr. Jeff Ricketson, but I don't see Jeff Ricketson. See Ms. Laurie, how are you?
Good, I had a little procedure today on my foot, and then I just got back, and Jeff runs around the corner, and he was like, "You gotta do this meeting." He said, "Mayor Stacy needs me in Riceboro," so.
We do need to go into a public hearing.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands, please. All right. Public hearing for the variance request?
For all of them, it'll be a variance
All
in
of
the
them?
zoning.
I knew
correct?
for the rezoning.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
After all these years, I'm still trying to learn.
And Chairman Lowe, before I get started on this, it does pertain to the variance request that we're about to listen to, but I'd like to give you something, or all of y'all something.
Sure.
It'll just help explain a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to that.
Next time, remember, Mr.
Except for
Moses, we'll help you
opinion.
with that next time.
We can pass this down for you.
Yeah, save it.
I
Yeah.
would love
Our
to
Ms. Moses
limit
would-
your steps right now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, I can go ahead and start. The variance request 2023-074 Liberty County, a request was submitted by Stanley and Sharon Kane to allow an accessory building in the front yard. The property is located at 1258 Fort Morris Road in the unincorporated area of Liberty County, and the mapping parcel is 323004. This is just, of course, the publication and the zoning sign, or the variance sign we had to put out. This is the vicinity map. That's why I would like for y'all to look at the plot plan that I gave you, because it's an odd-shaped piece of property. It is it's a triangle shape, and her septic tank is in the back. And when we get a little closer into the presentation, I'll show you sort of the reason why she had to put the building where she did. This is just the zoning map. All the property in this area is A1. And Ms. Kane, this is the narrative from her. We're requesting this variance for placing this building in its current location. If we placed it in another location on the property, we would cause to have to drive over the septic tank and the removal of a 200-plus-year-old live oak. We are 50 feet from the ditch as well, in no way interfering with the electrical right-of-way. I mean, I did go out and measure myself from the edge of the road, not the middle line, but the white line back. She is 70 feet. The front setback only needs to be 50. That's really not what we're here for, is the setback. We're here for, because the code says that you cannot have an accessory building in the front. This is the building that's there now. The house is, just sits kind of right here where that truck is the driveway. That's the pole barn and a building to the side that's all connected. The conditions for granting this variance, there are unique physical circumstances or conditions, including irregularity, narrowness, shallowness, and lot size or shape, exceptional topography, or other physical conditions peculiar to this particular piece of property. Yes, because of the odd shape. The application of the requirements to this particular property would create an unnecessary hardship. No, it would not. If the variance is granted, represented the minimum variance that will afford relief and will represent the least modification. Yes, if the variance is granted, would not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose and intent of the division. No, it would not. At the November 21st LCPC meeting, the recommendation was approval with standard conditions for Ms. Kane's building.
Was there any opposition to? her
No, sir.
request? No, okay. Is the petitioner here, Ms. Kane? Kane, will you please come to the microphone and state your name? We'd just like to hear from you call the petitioner. Yeah, you don't have to make a speech for the century, but just tell us who you are.
Council members, Sharon Kane.
And just tell us what your desire is here.
Okay, so my property is like a triangle, meaning the back of the property is the most narrowest, so behind my house is where the property is narrow. There's an existing building back there, so it doesn't leave me a lot of space to be able to maneuver those boats that you saw that belong to my husband, okay? So he was like, well, we'll take down a live oak, and I'm like, okay, you take down my live oak, you might as well take your boats and go live in them somewhere. I bought that property because of that live oak, so that live oak goes nowhere. But my property runs
Ms.
very
Kane,
wide.
you are being live streamed, you know that, don't you?
That's fine, he knows, he already knows it. But my property is very, very wide. So the front of the property is very wide. So the least amount of damage I could do to the property with taking down the least amount of trees was where it was placed. My house sits approximately 100 feet back from the roadway. This building is actually 70 feet back from the roadway. It doesn't interfere with any of the right-of-ways. It doesn't impair anybody's vision coming down Fort Morris. It is anchored down the same way you would anchor down a mobile home. So, I mean, we went through to make sure that this thing was going to be safe for everybody around us, not cause issues, not impeding anybody's view, sightline, or anything like that. So I'm asking for the variance so my husband can live another year.
All right. And no opposition, you said, from the adjacent landowners. All right. Whose district is this?
Mine.
All right.
Chair, I make a motion that we, are you ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion that we accept the approval came from LCPC on this request.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. We accept this variance request. Allow Ms. Kane's husband to stay home and not have to live in the boats. All in favor,
Well,
show.
appreciate you, gentlemen.
All in favor, show your hands, please. All right.
Appreciate you, council members.
Thank you.
I'll go again.
Call us tomorrow and I'll get you.
Okay.
the permit.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it.
Okay, the next rezoning petition's 2023-075, Liberty County. A rezoning petition was submitted by Liberty Creek Storage Partners. Kevin Smith is the owner to rezone 38.65 acres, more or less, from R12 to C3 for an outdoor storage facility with covered and uncovered storage for RVs, boats, and et cetera. Property is located on East Oglethorpe Highway in the unincorporated area of Liberty County. The map and parcel is 100-007. Again, the legal ads and the rezoning sign. This is the vicinity map. Right down the road is Mr. Boyer's Trailer-Rama and the Gibson McDonald Furniture Store. The piece of property right in the back here is the Flemington Forest, which was rezoned for subdivision back in July of '22. Here is the zoning map. The property is zoned R12, and you can see there is a lot of commercial zoning around the property along on 84. All of the dark red is commercial. Now we get to the flood map. The property has a floodway. It's in an A and an AE zone. The Peacock Canal runs right through the floodway, which is right here with the red stripe running through it. This area here is the uplands, which is about 15 acres that is buildable. And again, this is just going to show you the wetlands map. And this little section here is the wetlands. This is the narrative from Coastal EMC. It's, the property to be rezoned is located on East Oglethorpe Highway, approximately 0.75 miles southeast from Liberty County High School. The property acreage is 37.84, parcel number is 100-007, and it is currently zoned. Now, this on the narrative has A1, AR1, and R8. That is incorrect. There was a problem with the layer, I guess, on the property record card, and I got that corrected through GIS, so the property is R12. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property to C3 zoning for the purpose of developing an outdoor RV park, outdoor RVs, boats, storage yards with uncovered and covered parking on the uplands. The storage yard is to be accessed off of 84. There's no water or sewer services that would be needed. The property does contain wetlands, and a portion of it is within the flood zone. And this is the layout. I'll go through it as best I can here. There will be the entrance right here off of 84, because all of this is in the flood zone area. There is a security gate right in this area. There are 11 covered spaces, and the rest is uncovered. According to the property record card, there is about 15 acres that is not in the flood or the flood zone, which is, of course, where they have the storage yard laid out. And just a little background, this property back in March of 2019 got approved by the board for a 24-lot subdivision way back. Like I said, that was in 2019 from the same owner, Mr. Smith.
Is there a fine line between flood zone and wetlands?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A very fine line?
Yes, sir. Like for the, wetlands, you'd have to get you a wetland delineation study.
Yeah.
And do a lot of work to make sure that you can build them. The main thing is the floodway. You can't put anything in the
Can't put anything
floodway.
in a floodway.
No, sir.
So am I confusing floodway and flood zone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
Recently, they call it a watershed. It actually not wet until after a heavy rain, and then when the watershed area, it goes into the canal.
Chairman Levin, Mr. Bazemore, the engineer, is here, and he could elaborate a little more
Okay.
on the floodway.
All right.
Get to the zoning analysis. Does the property have reasonable economic value as currently zoned? Yes, it does. Yes, the property conforms to the JLS study. Does the property use conform to the Liberty Comp Plan? The comp plan designates this property as rural mixed use and agricultural forestry. Will there be an adverse effect on the value and usability of nearby properties? No, it would not. Is the proposed use suitable in view of nearby uses? Yes, it would. Will the zoning proposal create an undue burden on transportation, including streets, transit, schools, utilities, and the provision of public safety? No, it would not. Would this allow a short-term gain at the expense of the local long-term goals? No, it would not. This would not encourage the domino effect or encourage sprawl, and there were no unique historical sites which may be adversely impacted. Is the parcel in flood hazard zone? Yes, it's in the floodway and in Zone A and Zone AE. This is not considered spot zoning, and there were no unique conditions for support of approval or denial. I'll jump, the LCPC recommended approval with standard and special conditions. Special condition was a 50-foot preserve buffer allowed for this use and user only. All other uses and users require 30-foot vegetated buffer and an 8-foot high opaque fence along the property lines abutting several parcels, which was parcel 106, 112, and 101-068.
Can you show me that on the map, so
I can go back.
what the buffers would be?
Look, if you don't mind, I'm gonna have to look a little closer.
That against the adjacent properties, or? Something else.
012 is right here, and 06. And then we had the 101-068, so it'd be this one, and this one. Those three.
But he's surrounded by all agricultural properties, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was at, I thought I stopped you midstream. Were you done?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
That was
thought-
just the special condition
Okay.
at the end, but they recommend approval with that special condition.
Right, I guess that's the question that I have. Why just right there?
Well, it's because, these properties were just mainly the abutting properties, and this is will soon be a subdivision back in here. So that's just where they decided that the buffer should be. And the only other one would be on this side. But they didn't include that in. I don't know.
I know, I guess that's why I'm asking why.
Yeah. I mean, you could include it in.
So between here and the proposed subdivision,
Right, that's already,
Yeah.
and that's a buffer there. And then on the backside, correct?
Yes, sir. It's just this one, I guess.
Is that because it's undeveloped already?
Right.
Well, I mean, hopefully it's gonna get developed one day. So I'd rather
Yes.
make sure that if it's gonna be a buffer, it needs to be a buffer around the whole, that's just my take. But I mean,
Understand that.
is, you said someone is here. Yeah, okay, all right. Same question, in opposition from adjacent landowners? No, sir. Thank you. State your name, please, sir, for the record. We appreciate it when you begin to speak.
Yes, sir. My name is Travis Bazemore with EMC Engineering here on behalf of the applicant. Hope maybe I can answer some of y'all's questions, or I'll try at least. And if you have any more, we can try to address those. The main reason about the buffer is so that basically the top property line and then the side property line is really the only thing that was abutting the developed part of the property. You have the creek and a bunch of wetlands, so that whole area between the left side and the development is already pretty much.
Lori, help him out with the, one of y'all help out with the, yeah, with the,
But pretty much you got several hundred feet, between
Right.
this property and right here that's already naturally buffered,
Right.
and none of that would ever be.
Right.
Because it's wetlands and
Got it.
floodway.
got it?
Got some
Subdivision.
wetlands right here and, flood zone, and then, so this was really the only properties. But I mean, we can show a buffer, but you already have, several hundred feet of
Of a
natural buffer.
Okay.
The question about the floodway, so FEMA has different designations. They have floodway and flood zones. Usually right close to your main body of water, which the creek or the canal right here, you have a floodway. I think this line right here is the actual line of the floodway where it stops. Then you have flood zones. Of course, FEMA lets you do certain things in each one, but typically we stay out the floodway. But you can do stuff in the flood zones. The only thing that we're really proposing in the flood zone is the road, the access road into the property and a little bit of the pond, whatever detention pond or stormwater pond we would need. Because here's the other line, if you can see it right here. So there may be just a little bit right here, but the majority of this area back here would be out of the flood zone, the actual developed area.
So FEMA allows a roadway on the.
Well, they allow you to do a fill, but you have to mitigate and do other stuff, so you can cut and balance, balance the cut and fill, and there's other things, studies and stuff that you can do to get the property removed from the flood zone. If you do studies and stuff showing that it's not, there's a list of all kind of stuff that you can do to permit it, but it definitely has to be permitted through FEMA or mitigated, so.
All right. Now, just for my clarity, as you called it the top of the property there, so following up with Commissioner Frazier's question and comment about there not being a buffer, I mean, because we know LCPC heard this, and this is what they presented. Are there and my only concern is for whomever develops that, well, you made, is that wetlands too? The property to the top of your?
Is 0010?
And it looks
Or
like
10.
it's completely in the flood zone.
Okay,
and
well, oh,
wetland.
well, it'll take care of itself then, all right. Natural buffer, as you said.
But again, we can show one on there, but it's already got, because we got room,
Gotcha.
so, if we can show it, it's not a problem. Or again, we're not against, they're not against doing it, but it's really
Let's
not,
show one then. Let's show
really
one.
not, I mean, we can show the line on the paper.
It's there.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, it's already like, it's way more than 50 foot
Okay.
buffered, so
yeah.
that's not a problem.
Okay, a God-built
It
buffer.
addresses the,
Okay.
the issues.
All right, add that to, yes, please. All right. Now, where am I as far as districts?
Oh, 84, right there, in Flemington. And that's,
Who has property?
Before you get to the
To the bridge.
Yeah,
I think that's Max.
just before you get to the bridge,
that's
there's a
District
ramp
four?
going in.
I think it is.
I said, just before you get to the bridge, there's a road
I
going
think
in.
it's Commissioner Jones, I
I get
believe.
you, Commissioner Jones?
No, that's
Yours?
Eddie's.
It's yours?
Show a District 4.
4? All right. Did I miss it?
And I think that's the high school right there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a new map? Well, I thought mine went to the railroad, right?
Both sides?
Just before you get, that's
I don't
yours.
think it goes all the way down there.
Yeah.
But again, I'm only relying on what LCPC put on there, so.
Well, it says it's a 4 here.
What district is it?
He says it's yours.
District 4, it's District 4. It's 4.
All right, Commissioner Walden, yep.
Well, I'm District 6.
Let me back up. I'm sorry. No, it is District 6. You're correct. It's District 6.
It's District 6. I'm thinking about Maxon, yeah.
The only question that I had right there was, and Laura, you helped me a little bit. The entrance is gonna come in somewhere about the drive that's already next to Mr. Boyer's. Okay, and then you're showing your hash marks, the water is gonna go into the retention ponds? Is that correct? I'm looking at it, it's like you've got the arrows facing through a culvert going into the storm ponds.
Trying to look, I don't know if I understand the question. What,
Come right over here and I'll show you
all right?
what I'm talking about. It looks like there's arrows that's coming east. You see these right here? And then it's going into this retention, the storm pond. See those arrows right there?
Yes, sir, that's a ditch.
And I was wondering, of course, if it comes out of the retention pond, where's the outfall going into the canal?
Yes, I understand the question now. So, yeah, we showed some, so obviously it's falling towards the canal naturally, topographic. So we just showed, catching it with a swell or something, with inlets or something. And then you would route it to the pond. And then this is the pipe right here, we were showing, go into the canal or outfalling into the canal. Right here.
Your parking lot's gonna be what? Gravel, or will it be concrete?
I think they're proposing gravel or millings or something, something like that.
Chair, got a question. Where's the Peacock Canal at to that right now? Show it to me.
Pretty much right here, right along this property line.
So you'll have to cross the,
No, sir, there's an entrance right here before.
right there by the Peacock Canal.
So here's pretty much the culvert where it crosses under 84. There's an entrance right here, right next to it right now. We would utilize that existing entrance. We might have to improve it some, but it's an entrance there now.
I mean, 'cause I remember years ago, it was flooded.
Yeah.
Flooded.
The canal, the pipe going under the highway is before you get there to your drive, but, and I have looked at wet and dry, but, I just wondered, is the DOT gonna be involved with the decel lane maybe going into that? I understand it's gonna be a place to park, vehicles, but I mean, getting them off of that highway?
Yes, we would have to permit it through, and if the trips, we have to provide numbers for trips, and if it required, met their requirements for a turning lane, we would definitely have to add, or improve the drive, for whatever they required. But we would have to permit that through GDOT.
You're gonna do that by looking at how many spots you got in there?
Yes, sir. They have different ways, but yeah, for something like this, it would be, number of parking spaces and then trips.
I know at one time they had talked about, putting a motorcycle place, the Polaris place was gonna locate there. And I don't believe it was big enough for them, because they wanted to put a house also along with their thing, but,
And that was one, even though, they're trying to get it zoned, the commercial, it is pretty limited, with the constraints on the site to do a heavier commercial with a lot more, traffic. These actually, people park there, but they, it's not as much traffic as you would think because, people park, it's just parked there and they only go and get it when they need it. So yeah, I mean, they thought it was a good use for this property, something like this, for that back piece.
well, I mean, as far as the ditch, I mean, you have to depend on the DOT to keep that culvert cleaned out. I mean, it's not ours till it gets across the highway. But
Right.
I just had just those few questions.
Okay.
Look forward to, seeing some new growth in there, and I'm sure Flemington does.
Yes, sir.
Chair, entertain a motion then, sir.
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Show of hands. So we're done with it. I didn't miss any discussion, did I? Okay. Did I get your vote?
Just as a note too, that does include that extra buffer, correct?
Right.
That's an additional
Right.
stipulation, okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Laurie.
One more?
Take care of yourself.
Got another one?
That ball game didn't turn out for you.
No, it sure did.
We have one more.
Got one more?
Got one more.
Got one more?
Yes, sir.
6.
The next one
Oh,
is,
my bad.
Hold on.
It is.
Yep, I did miss one. All right.
the last one we have is Rezoning Petition 2023076, Liberty County. A zoning petition was submitted by Kyle Christensen to rezone 18.22 acres from A1 to C3 for an RV park as an amenity for the 17 South Rod and Gun Club. The property is located on North Coastal Highway in the unincorporated area of Liberty County, and it's going to be parcels 235-12 and 235-13. Legal ads and the rezoning sign. This is the vicinity map, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but it runs just down Leroy Cofer, North Coastal. This is the existing gun club right here, and it's these two parcels here. And the parcels will be combined. We signed off on the plat back in September to have both of them combined. There is, the Embassy Church does sit on this parcel here. When I get to the zoning map, you can see this is it. There are several already C3 zonings in the area here, and they're real close by. The rest of it's ag. Next is the flood map. There's just a tiny portion that is in an A zone. It's not much at all. I can try to just point to it. There's a tiny little sliver that runs down that property line that would be in an A zone, but it wouldn't be part of where the park's gonna be, or maybe be. This is just the plat, and this is where the two parcels will be combined. Actually, we signed off on in September. There is a brick house that's on the property. Doug Winn used to live in the home, and at some point in the future, they would like to have possibly the manager or the caretaker of the gun club may use the home, so they would have someone on site to live on the property. And the narrative from Mr. Christensen. My name is Kyle Christensen, and on behalf of the 17 Rod and Gun Club and my partners, we're requesting a rezoning of the property presented before you, the 18 acres. The reason for this is to elevate our facility to the next level of convenience and service. The Gun Club has been part of the community for 6 years this January. During this time, we've been able to deliver a safe and controlled environment for gun usage and training. We're asking for the rezoning to C3 to allow us to build an RV park. With the addition, our full-service shooting facility will meet requirements of many national shooting competitions. As of now, we are limited in this aspect due to the requirements of the venues to have availability for RV camping facilities. This would allow us to host competitions that would bring 200-plus competitors from all over Georgia and the U.S. to our area. You will see before you a concept plan of what we would like to accomplish and build on the property if it's rezoned. And this is the concept plan. There's about 22 RV spaces. That's the spaces in the red here. This is a road that would join the existing park, the existing gun club. The spaces would be 10 by 40 is where the mobile homes would actually sit, and per the regs, this area here would have to be concrete, and this is just a parking for the vehicle if it was pulling in an RV or if there was for guest parking. There's not, for future right now, the coaches and fifth wheels that would go in there would be self-contained, but if any kind of sewer system would go in, it would definitely have to be approved from the Liberty County Health Department.
Excuse me. So you were saying that the coaches and the third wheels, they won't have anywhere for water connection or sewer?
No. Yeah, well, they would have water.
Water and power, yes.
Yeah, water and power, I'm sorry, but they would not, there's not a place right now for them to like dump, they'd have to go to a dumping station.
I mean, where's the closest dump? I mean,
If
I
y'all can
mean,
finish the
I've been in
presentation.
the RV
Let's let
once or
Ms. Lori
twice.
finish, we'll come.
Okay.
And I'll get to the zoning analysis. Does this property have reasonable economic value as currently zoned? Yes. Yes, it does meet the JLS study. Does the proposed use conform to the Liberty County Comp Plan? Comp Plan designates this property as agricultural to forestry. No, there would not be any adverse effect on the value of usability of nearby properties. Is the proposed use suitable in view of nearby uses? Yes. Will the zoning proposal create an undue burden on transportation, including streets, transit, schools, utilities, or the provision of public safety? It would not. Would this allow a short-term gain at the expense of the local long-term goals? No. This would not encourage a domino effect or encourage sprawl, and there was no unique historical sites which may be adversely impacted. Is the parcel in a flood hazard zone? Yes, a portion of the property is in an A zone. This would not be considered spot zoning, and are there any unique conditions which support approval or denial? The LCPC recommended approval with standard and special conditions at their November meeting. The special condition is that the rezoning of C3 is only allowed for an RV park. All other C3 uses shall be prohibited.
Okay, is the petitioner here? Come, sir.
Yes. Mr. Christensen.
Either you can wait for Commissioner Frazier to ask that question again, or you can go right into the answer.
Yeah, you can explain it. I'll go back to the site for you.
Thank you. Lord, was there any opposition to the request? Okay, thanks.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kyle Christensen, and I'm representing myself and my partners. Just to be here to answer any questions you guys have on there. I guess we can start.
Please do.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Well, I guess the first question I do have is about so I think you were saying that it will have water?
Yes, sir. We'll have water and power.
And power.
And power. But no, we aren't looking to be a KOA, just to be blunt about it. Well, this is an amenity for the gun club, so we're looking for transients who are gonna come in for either competitions we have or events that we have. They come in, these guys, this is what they do for their weekends. They like a Thursday to a Sunday, and we wanna provide that. It opens up some pretty large venues throughout the state. Some of the requirements for some of these competitions, especially some of the SCTP, which are the kids competitions, they require the facility to have RV spots, and this is something we're learning as we're going along. We're not looking for long-term residents at all. This is an amenity, because one of the reasons, if Ms. Lori showed you the road that leads to the gun club, one of the reasons that we've stayed away from having RVs or campers on the site itself is the temptation, in our opinion, is too great. If they're sitting there at nighttime, they're gonna wanna drive around on their buggies and ATVs, and then they're gonna wanna shoot at the range at night. We're a daytime facility only. So now that we have the 18 acres next to it, we can control that whole situation, is what it is. So it's more of a safety factor for us, and it's gated. The road was pre-existing from Mr. Winn onto Joey's property, so we've just gated the road. And the dump station, you asked about the sewer, we do have an area, it's in yellow at the very bottom, where we may add that just for the convenience of these guys to do this on the way out. But your question about the closest, Love's Truck Stop has dump stations.
In Richmond Hill, right?
KOA has dump stations. But we are not looking at full-time sewer or anything like that. And working with Jeff and Miss Lori, I guess the picture on the side is how each individual spot would look, and that's according to the RV requirements in the state, correct?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I'm glad you brought that up. So from the state perspective, we do have RV, I guess, for us to be designated for that C3, for that zoning. It has to be, you said that's only designated for RVs, correct? So under that
So
designation.
just for us, that would be the requirement. If we decided, if you guys zone this to C3, if we decided not to do an RV park, then we would have to come back to you all for approval.
Right. Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So C3 is strictly for RVs, correct?
No.
Or I'm missing. But, so they're trying to do it strictly for C3 RV.
They've offered that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, well, under that, what is the true definition of an RV park? I mean, just like, prime example with a municipality, for you to be classified as a municipality, you have to provide, what, 2 or 3 services, correct? So I guess the question I'm asking, for this to be designated as an RV park, what are the designations that you have to have? I guess provide what, power and water?
It depends on the level that you want to do. You have some RV parks are rustic, they call them, which basically you drive in on a dirt road and you park in between 2 trees and you have no power, no water, nothing. We are somewhere in the middle. We're not a creek fire. If you guys have ever been to off on 204, the creek fire,
And see,
RV park.
And I guess that's a question, because I've been to a few RV parks.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is I've never been to an RV park where you couldn't dump. Because what I'm saying is, like, especially with the time that you're saying, 2 or 3 days, you have 3 tanks. And I know you know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, once that tank gets full, they're gonna have to drive all the way to Richmond Hill to.
Yeah, but
dump,
we're
and then come
short
back.
term. We're 2 to 3 days during these events is who we're catering to. We look at this as more of an amenity to the gun club. And as far as use,
With
like I
all due
said,
respect, I'm picking up what you put down.
Oh, yeah,
but,
yeah.
But also what I'm saying is, I think normally if you're in an RV, 2 or 3 days.
you want to dump.
You're going to have to dump. There's no
Yeah.
what you want to do. You cannot be in an RV for 2 or 3 days and have good water, gray
Yeah.
water
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that.
You got most RVs have an 80-pound or an 80-gallon tank.
And you out.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to say, and you're talking about having an event there where, Mr. Chairman, where you're there from Thursday to Sunday, they're going to dump.
Yeah.
Now, if they're dumping in a place where it needs to be dumped, is one thing.
Right.
But you and I both know, when it's time for them to dump, they're definitely dumping.
I mean, and if that's something that you guys are concerned about, then if we want to make that a stipulation that we have to have a dump station, we're good with that.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Oh, yeah, no, we're
I'm
good with
just, I'm looking down the road, Mr. Chair. I'm telling you, I've never been to an RV park.
I RV'd with my kids during my divorce for a couple of years.
Right.
And there was a lot of places up in the mountains where you pulled in and there's no power, no water, no
Yeah.
dump, no nothing.
That's exciting.
So
Not
it's
really,
a county
but
thing, yeah.
Kudos to y'all for that. Yeah.
That question wasn't raised at the LCPC hearing? No? Okay.
And in the regulations under the RV parks, it mainly talks about the standards, like the spaces have to be, spaces where the RV is parked, like this has to be concrete.
Right.
And the road inside has to be paved, and it gives those types of stipulations, and about, of course, have water, sewer, but it mainly just gives the regulations on how the park should be built.
So there's no obligations about what
No,
services have to be provided.
The material that they provided, it mentions that you can have sewer or you can have a dump station, but you don't have to have either. Now, we would like to eventually, have a dump station and those things, and there's a lot of the blue area that you're seeing is gonna have to be the improvement that's gonna be paved, 22 feet wide, all the way around. That was one of the conditions that, when I met with these guys, they said, okay, if this is gonna be an RV park, it's gotta be an RV park. It can't be like Fort McAllister if you go to Savage Island. Savage Island is dirt and trees, and they do have a dump station on the way out. It's a state park. So they go by their own regulations, sort of. But it's, that's the area that you would, the outline of the blue is what you would see would be paved there. But the dump station, like I said, if that's something you guys would say, hey, you have to have one, we're good with that.
We'll take you up on that.
There you go.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. We have it on the plan in the yellow, and that would be on, as you pull out, you can swing through, dump, and it'll have a wash. You have a hose you hook up, washes your tank out. There's plenty of land to the left of that, as far as for drain fields and everything.
And Mr. Frazier, I should have mentioned, when I was going over the site plan, that was a feature.
Okay. Yeah, I just.
What district am I in again now? I'm in this borderline district area.
4.
I think that's
4?
4.
All right, somebody stand in for my commissioner from District 4.
I'll do it. So move.
I'll second it.
Second, further discussion? We good with the putting in the dump station? All right. All in favor, show of hands, please. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for being so agreeable.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for your.
Let's protect this county we love so well environmentally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Lawyer. All right. EMS, Ms. Krista Hensel.
And we have to go back to a
We do, Mr. Chair, we just need to come
All right,
out.
Chair.
So moved.
Second.
second.
All in favor? All right, back in regular session. Thank you all.
Good evening, Board,
Looking out for
Chairman.
the chairman. Thank you.
With me representing, I have Sergeant Entrican and Staff Sergeant Jackson. They are representing Winn Army in conjunction with an MOA that we are presenting you this evening. And
If
the
I may say, Chairman Privet, they represent more than Winn Army. They represent the military. Have to keep us safe. Thank you guys for your service. Happy to have you all here with us.
A few months ago, a little backstory, Sergeant Entrican came to our service, applied for a part-time position with us. We hired him. Since then, he's been a complete asset to our service. He then came to me and proposed this initiative that they were looking at taking on, and to make a long story short, Fort Stewart Ambulance Section is coming out from under the MEDEC section, and they're gonna be falling under the DES, I believe, is what they are, right? Department of Army.
Department of who?
And as a result of that, they are going to now, Winn Army is gonna be now handling their own IFT transfers, their interfacility transfers with other hospitals in the area. To help facilitate that, we are wanting to do a combined conjunction with allowing their medics in Winn Army Hospital to come and do what we would call similar to what our students do with the colleges, and do ride-alongs with our ambulance service. What we've seen in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of our military medics, when they're not serving overseas in deployments, they're in the hospital setting, so they're not getting that ambulance exposure. So by allowing them to come with us, we would be able to give them that exposure, as well as maybe get some more medics coming on part-time with us from the military aspect. So this is just a MOA to allow us to work hand in hand with them. Entrican would serve as the liaison between myself and him to schedule current ride-alongs with all their medics to facilitate them through. And it would, ideally, it would work very similar, if not exactly, just like our college agreements that we have with the students.
Mr. Chair, when you say ride along, that's just ride along, not drive along.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying they can't drive, I'm just looking at the
Right,
liability
no,
side of
we
it.
don't allow students, anybody who rides along, they're there just for the experience and the patient exposure, treatment and whatnot. They are certified, whether it be national and state. So the difference between students and the medics from the military,
certified.
they are already certified. They have
Certified.
training, they have experience, where the students, they may be obtaining that in the schooling that they're currently in. So these men and women, they would already be certified. They would be helping with patient care, learning the ambulance, things like that, so that they can take that and establish their own service for their transports and give them that experience for when they're not overseas in deployment, in
Yes.
conjunction with still currently working in the hospital setting.
And it's a great possibility when they get out, they might stay with us.
Absolutely. That's the only downfall when we do get good employees coming from the military, is that they end up being very, very good, and they're only here for a short time.
Right, okay,
Then we have to give them a very good blessing to their next duty station.
okay.
For that short time, you used to?
Oh, we do, and they're good workers.
Okay. So
All
you,
right, any other questions from Crystal?
But I have one. Now, this is a memo of agreement. Is it for anybody that's in the military, anybody that works at the hospital, just for y'all?
So we have around 12 medics that work in the emergency department of the ER, Fort Stewart. And all of them are either nationally registered EMTs or nationally registered paramedics. All those that will be riding along with Liberty County will also get their state license. So there's around 12 of us that would try to participate in this.
Is this through the Pentagon or just something that y'all doing? I can remember a long time ago, and I'm gonna let everybody know how old I am when I tell this
yeah,
story.
he's up there.
Yeah, I'm up there. But I remember when I was a little boy, the Hinesville police on weekends, just on weekends, they rode around. They were always accompanied by a military
Military
policeman. You may
policeman.
not remember that.
Yeah, I do.
Because you live down in Walthamville,
Yeah.
but in Hinesville,
Country.
on weekends from Friday, especially Friday and Saturday night, there was always an MP that accompanied the Hinesville police. I guess in case a guy in the Army got into something, there was an MP there for him. Now, I would like to think that was not just something that a company did, that was some kind of agreement that the federal government had with the local government. And that's kind of what I'm saying here. Is this federal government, or that's just something that's happening at Winn Army Hospital and not anywhere else?
Yes, sir, this is a local agreement. We're not trying to expand this past Winn Army Community Hospital and
Okay.
Gives us that chance to be a little bit more innovative. Again, we do have these agreements with colleges, but when he came to me with the idea, it was fresh, it was new, and I really wasn't sure which direction we were gonna take with it, if it could even be done, but after we talked, it made a lot of sense. We are here. These are the community that we serve, and many of the community that we serve, we do transport to Winn Army, and transfer that care to them. One thing, as the EMS director, that I can appreciate is that it will, in hopes, build our relationship even better with Winn Army, because the problem that we have is that if you don't have constant communication on a very regular basis, you lose that, because people change, people will get moved here and moved there, and it's never the same person, so you're always trying to track down that person who to contact. Well, now we're gonna be in constant communication, so that even when these guys leave, we'll have that smooth transition passed down on who's coming in. So I would hope it makes sense that I think that relationship with Winn Army would be much easier to maintain.
Yeah. You remind me too, as you're speaking, as I hear Commissioner Gitter talk on a recent trip to DC, these are the kind of things that they look for, senators look for. How is the military and civilian community working together? They look for these kind of things. So now I got something else to add to our list of how we work together. So it becomes a positive for you. Community as far as show how you work with the military, to include them having an opportunity to work part-time with the county.
Right, and again, so when they're conducting the ride-alongs, it is not costing the county any money from them, unless they decide they'd like to pursue a part-time career with us, then absolutely, we would consider that. And it gives us already a hands-on experience. We kind of already know how this person performs in the field already at no cost to the county.
Kind of follow my Commissioner Gillard. Who has to sign off on your end, guys? Who signs off?
Colonel Siri, the hospital commander.
Hospital commander.
Well, that was my next question. I'm looking at y'all got 3 stripes there, but I know there's a pecking order in the military, so the colonel is aware of this. He knows what you're doing when you're not out there with him. Okay.
Will they be in big trouble if they were?
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know we would be in.
Yeah, they'd
Okay.
be in
They know
big trouble. Yeah.
No, I just know that the city of Hinesville has an agreement to cut grass on
They
Fort
do.
Stewart. But they got that from Washington DC. That was the Pentagon, that's the federal. And I was just wondering about that. Thank you.
Who knows what this may turn into, though?
Might be.
Works out well, yeah.
Mr. Chair?
One question, so there's just two of y'all right now? Or you got?
He's 12, he said.
I'm in charge of the emergency department at Winn. I have 12 soldiers underneath me, and out of us and those other 10 soldiers, we'd be trying to participate in this ride-along program.
How many do you have, Chris?
How many employees? About 30 full-time, 30 part-time.
So you just pair up one ambulance and then another one and another?
They would serve as a third person on the unit. Mhm. That way, our patient care is completely covered 100%, and they're just there to oversight and get involved if need be.
It seems like, I mean, believe it or not, things like this have happened before. I mean, Joey, years ago, we had, you know, the military would come out here and then you might get a new, person running the post and he didn't want them out here. So, kinda like Mr. Gillard said with the MPs, you get a new provost marshal, and this, and now you got a business uptown, stay out here, but, that's good, we welcome you to be here. I mean, I'm a military brat, my dad served out there, and Mr. Gillard did, and I think Mr. Stevens, he was in there, so, I've, got a lot of respect for military, and anybody that can save somebody else's life, y'all ought to know it firsthand, so.
Yeah, you ready for a motion?
Look forward to the success of the program. Yeah.
Yeah, you ready for a motion?
Ready for a motion.
Let me see if I can say it right, y'all correct. I'm looking at it, this memorandum of agreement with Liberty County Board of Commissioners / EMS with Winn Army Hospital that we approve it.
Emergency Department.
Emergency Department, okay.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second, we approve the MOA as explained. All in favor, show of hands, please.
One other question, is this just for active duty military, or would it be for civilians that work out there as well?
Just for our active duty service members, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
When will you all have, the colonel already signed off on y'all's end, or you got to go?
It's already approved, sir.
Okay, all right, all right. All right, thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. I
Thank you for
appreciate
being
it.
here.
Thank you.
And secondly, I have is just an update on the Savannah Tech MOA that we currently already have. It does expire at the end of December, so we're just bringing it forward again just to hopefully have the blessing to reapprove that, to keep on continuing with that agreement.
Until 2025, December 31st, I read it. Mr. Chair.
You entertain a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Thank you, motion second, we approve the MOA with Savannah Tech and Liberty County Board of Commissioners / EMS. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. All right. Ms. Crystal, you 2 for 2.
All right, well, thank you very
All right.
much.
Well,
Appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Crystal. Uh-oh, things are gonna get
Oh, well.
board appointments. And listen, now they're one man down tonight now, so
Hopefully they could work it out.
I'm gonna give them a little break. Board appointment?
Mr. Chair,
I'm trying to get some
board members.
grace and mercy for y'all over here.
But the good news, Mr. Chairman, it's almost January, so,
No, we coming back.
yeah, in
Mr. Chair, we
2025.
received, what you got?
Oh, nothing.
We received no information on the Board of Public Health application. We got 2 that resigned. So that's it. So I guess,
I saw a name,
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple of
the
names.
Spells, Anna Spells, S-P-E-L-T-S.
let us come back on the middle of the month.
In the email or something,
Okay.
okay, we can bring that
Yeah,
bit
let us come back on the middle of the month of all our appointments.
Dr. Marie, I saw that name
Except
come
for-
across. in the
except for one.
Email, okay.
Yeah.
So you want to do the CATA?
Category, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, we have an applicant to replace the Mr. Smith, who his term is expiring on 12/31/23, who served on this board for many years. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you for all your service, Mr. Smith, to this board. And we have a nomination for Mr. Joe Ford for his replacement.
Chair, entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Second, we have Mr. Joe Ford to replace Mr. Brian Smith on the CATA board. Mr. Brown, is it still our protocol to send a letter of thanks for their service to these?
It is,
Okay,
yes, sir.
all right, sir. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands. All right. Mr. Joe Ford is appointed. I think we all know that young man. He did a good job for us. And you'll bring back the Board of Health at the mid-month meeting? All right, facility use agreement, Midway Pool.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a consideration of a renewal for that facility use agreement for the East End Swimming Pool with the Winn Consulting out of Savannah. They've done that successfully, as you know. I think Rob, Mr. Jones is connected with that. It's come and give you an update for several years, and be glad to ask him to do that again if you so desire. It stays the same. It's basically $300 a month, and then they reimburse expenses related to chemical use and personnel use at that facility.
I know there was some repair work pending on that facility. Was that repair work?
It was, and that wasn't really related to them. They also,
Right.
they've also
I didn't mean to
just-
indicate that, I just knew.
Yes, sir. They've also just replaced the heater unit. You know, their responsibility was that heater unit they put in at no cost to the county, and they had to upgrade and replace that. So, that is totally their expense.
Okay, all right, Chair, entertain a motion.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion second, we renew the agreement with, what's the name of that company, sir?
It's actually Winn Consulting.
Winn Consulting
Is
for
who
the
the,
pool use.
yes,
All
sir,
right.
is who the contract's with.
All in favor, show of hands, please. All right. Been fruitful for them and for the county, thank you, sir. Alcoholic beverage license distance requirements.
This is something, Mr. Chairman, that I think briefly discussed with you last time. There is a desire from a property owner who's been approached about a large convenience store to be located there with multiple fueling stations. In that location, it falls within the distance requirement, so they would not be able to sell alcohol at that location. What they would desire would be an alcohol application for off-premise consumption only. So what's really, I say before the board tonight, but for your consideration, actually I took, the first sheet shows what our current Liberty County ordinance is. And as you can see, if the desire of the board to move forward with trying to amend your ordinance, you would amend it countywide. Excuse me, you'd basically take away the 600-foot requirement from any church, shrine, chapel, or other place used exclusively for religious purposes. All the other uses would stay in place, which includes schools and libraries and those type of things. That's what cities and counties that have done have removed that section from their ordinance to do that. On page 2, just as a second note, there is already on the books something that does not allow any sale of alcoholic beverages, period, on Sundays until after 12:30. And it limits those restrictions already. So there still would be a restriction even on a convenience store that was located inside those distance requirements, should the board consider to change that part of your ordinance. The third one is just to take on the Hinesville ordinance and what they did there. Their ordinance is tailored a little bit differently overall for the county. I know we talked about that when we redid this ordinance. I believe it's been a couple of years ago, and you desired to keep it in the format you had it in. But as you can see, they do have a removal. They do not include churches for off-premise consumptions for wine or malt beverages. So that's what is kind of, I say before you tonight, but what I bring you the information on, and that is what the ordinance on the first page would look like, the modification, should you desire to do that.
What's the state law say on it?
Well, it's up to, actually.
It's home rule, ain't it?
It is a home rule, yes, sir. And really what you would need to do is not remove it completely. You would put, basically a stipulation in there that restricted it, that, could not be within a foot. As long as the county has a stipulation in place that is less restrictive than what the state blanket covers, which is, I believe, 300 feet in that case, then the home rule would apply to 1 foot. If you remove it completely, then it's gonna backfall to the state, right, be higher.
And this is going to involve the rural area of the county.
Rural area only is
The
what would
rural
be
area of the
affected.
county.
Right,
So
that's the only thing.
if we look at these changes, it could be for the good, could be for the worse. But once we do it, we can't go back.
You wouldn't be able to obviously close any businesses that opened or, or do anything like that. You could go back and then it would prohibit any future businesses from locating within whatever distance you said.
And what we have right now prohibits future business from coming,
Correct.
doing anything close to a religious house.
Right. Yes, sir. As that reads, and I would have to go to the definitions, not sure all these are outlined, but as you see, they're church, shrine, church, shrine, chapel, or other place exclusively used for religious services.
I noticed you left mortuary, and I guess they won't complain.
Commissioner Stevens, that was one thing that I had thought about. We talked a little bit about it here in the meeting on where the recreation department's at, how far it is across the road to establishment selling alcohol. Well, if that person leaves out and closes that business down, you have that opportunity to say, we're not gonna grant a license there.
Right.
But I guess you would go back and say, well, let's look at the track record. Because we don't approve them, we have, the sheriff's department actually goes in and looks and sees if that individual has met all the requirements to have the alcohol license. But I get to thinking that some of them, that they've been 3 or 4 different owners of the building, or maybe the same owner of the building, but it's a different, it's not a transferable thing, right?
No, it's not. But apparently what I see is a lot of them, like the one that you are referencing now, they don't let the door close. They just, like you said, so what is it, 6 months? After 6 months, is it the grandfather clause kind of go away if there's one? Is there one?
I don't remember. I don't remember what that time, whether it's 6 months or a year, if they fail to operate. But there is a time there.
Let's say like the other facility that's in close proximity to this particular issue that we're talking about now. It's been closed now for over, 2 years or a year? So if they come back and say they want to open that one up again, where do we go then?
Yeah, I'd have to talk to the county attorney about that.
I guess that would probably be the same way if you open up the business I know there's a lot of different places here that are churches, but I know some of them meet in a motel. Well, they sell alcohol in the motel. So, you really want to try to get a distance that, I can see commercial businesses that come that want to sell, but I guess when the governor of the state said, hey, we're going to start selling on Sunday if the people in the community vote for it, but you're going to have to start after 12 o'clock, right? You can't sell it.
12 or 1, which is it?
12:30.
12:30.
But
12:30 till.
But also, I'm sorry, Commissioner Wallet, but also in the, I guess in our ordinance, it says a building that's exclusively used, correct?
Yeah.
So I don't think they're putting in consideration like the ones who meeting in motels, hotels, or commercial locations that have other dwellings next to them. I think they're just talking about the ones that are just exclusive, separate, right? So,
Well, there's buildings that are here now that they use them as a house of worship on different times, you know, and that's, you really want to make sure you err on the side of caution.
oh, by far, absolutely.
Commissioner
I agree.
Gillard, help me think through this. The convenience store right there at the corner of, across from Manor House.
Gulf Street and Memorial Drive.
Yeah.
Across
the
from,
library.
and the library and Georgia Southern and all that.
Well, that's in the city. and
That's in the
what I'm
city.
saying. That's
Yeah.
not the only one. That's
Yeah.
the one at Airport Road, where the Parkers is on one side, and across the street is Crossroads Church.
Yeah.
So,
You know, I hear you. I do want time to think it through, but I'm also, that they don't, was El Cheapo across from my church, that's,
Yeah, right.
you know, we, and as a church, we haven't had any problems with,
Right across the street.
you know, so I want some time to think it through, but as I'm thinking, there are several examples already where this exists, and I haven't heard of any Manor House having any problems with the
No.
the convenience store
Well, I mean,
across,
what a
or the
good place.
library, or Georgia Southern.
What a good place to, you know, you can
Liberty Prayer Chapel.
invite them when they leave out, they may,
Yeah,
I mean, we've got a preacher here in the
Yeah.
audience, and I'm just saying,
and I guess the high fact of consideration is for sale only, not for consumption on.
That's correct.
So it's not a,
That's right.
it's not a bar for that.
That's right, and I don't think they mind me saying this, but most of you probably already know, but the proposed location is right there at 196, at 84, and as Commissioner Stevens noted, the store that was there for, I don't know how many years open, Mr. Sasser's store,
Yeah.
did have
They did
off-premise
have, yeah.
consumption, very close proximity to that place of worship.
Did we have this in place when that store was built? What we got now?
Boy, I don't know. And I don't know when that store was built. This was put in.
Macintosh store at Macintosh.
The convenience store.
This was,
I don't know,
The
you
mountain.
see, when it was actually
Y'all still call
built,
that a
the road
mountain?
wasn't
Macintosh Mountain?
Yeah.
yeah, this was
I
actually,
never understood why that was called
Talking
Macintosh
about
Mountain.
the original resolution
yeah,
of 77,
yeah.
so.
See, when that store was built, there was no 196, remember?
Used
I
to have to
mean,
go
there was
around
no
the railroad
ML
track.
Cofer.
See, I remember them days. I remember them days.
It's about this tall, right?
Yeah, I remember them
Once again,
days.
it is in the city,
Must be
but
sitting in the
Yeah.
car seat.
our
Yeah,
church
sitting in
was
the
certainly
car
there
seat.
before that convenience store came. Yeah, and now we have a neighborhood Walmart that sells alcohol and wine and everything else that's, you know, in close proximity to the church. Let's think it through, guys, but my point is, I guess what I'm seeing is there are several examples, I know they're in the city, where they exist, and I haven't heard of them being problematic. You know.
No, the one that you talking about, Mr. Chairman, at Gulf Street, where across from the Manor House, that store was there way back when, and the Manor House was
Cleaner, so.
was downtown.
Yeah.
At the time.
So the church actually moved in front of.
Move in front of it.
Yeah.
Church came to the convenience store.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because at one time, there was no alcohol on Memorial Drive. Absolutely no liquor license.
You're right.
I mean, beer or wine license on
And-
Memorial Drive.
Only you would remember that, Eddie.
I'm telling you, I remember it because my dad said when he first came here in the 50s, it was full of tents, and he said when he was on the council that he voted against every alcohol license there was. It didn't make no difference if the governor owned it, he voted against it.
So, Mr. County Minister, we have options, because you mentioned the afternoon sale, that's something we can consider.
Well, it's already in there, that wouldn't change.
That wouldn't change, okay.
That wouldn't change as part of this. So it would still prohibit sales during times of church service, normal church service. Bishop Eden's here, and I realize we let out at 12, I could probably use to be worked on till about 4 o'clock, so. Other services are longer than 12:30, I'm sure. And you could extend those hours somewhat if you wanted to.
Joe, on the distance, are you talking about property line to property line or door to door?
It is measured in a straight line from the property line of in this case, the library church, to the building. To the building corner, nearest building corner.
Okay,
So
so
it's
from
based on
nearest
how
building
far?
quarter to nearest,
To the property line of the distance that is selling. All right, so it is the property line of in this case, the church,
okay,
to the building in which located the business. So it'd be the closest building spot to that property line, yeah. Yeah,
Wait a minute, now, that's not-
most are done that way, or either from door to door. You see some. from door to
and that's
door.
what I was saying, it should be from corner to corner, or door to door, or line to, well, it can't, well, if it's line to line, that means the,
Property line.
yeah, the property line to property line,
That's worse.
null and void anyway. That's move.
The Presbyterian Church in Riceboro, before you get to the overpass on the left-hand side, past City Hall on the left-hand side, how far it is from there up to the
Convenience store.
convenience stores.
On cases.
I mean,
So what were we doing here? We would,
Well, because there's a request,
There's a
A
developer,
pending request.
there's a property owner and developer that has submitted some plans for consideration, but obviously would not be able to put it at that location if, unless the ordinance was modified.
ordinance was changed.
so Joey brought something to look at in print, so I'm gonna recommend we bring it back at the mid-month meeting.
Okay.
You'll have some time to poll your district if you want to.
this is not an action item, it is, we
No.
don't need to.
Not for tonight.
Yeah, I think at the last time this brought up, that, there was some representative from the church that
Right,
that
yeah.
came,
They were,
you know.
yeah.
They were in favor of it, I
They
believe.
were.
Okay.
That was at
Those who were here.
the same,
It was a couple of meetings ago,
oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, mid-month.
Okay.
And let me do this, Bishop, give me a call. Yes, sir. All right. All right, the capital project update.
I laid that at your desk just for the sake of brevity tonight, and I'll have some pictures for you when we meet again, especially in a mid-month meeting. But this just gives you the update on the various capital projects. You do have a ribbon cutting that y'all are aware of next week at Sam Harris Gym at 10 o'clock.
Is that the date that is good for Commissioner Jones? Can you
The
mention?
last time I talked to him, he said that was a bad day. He said the 18th was good for him, but, it's up to this board.
Already kind of
19th is on the water.
got the plaque ordered, so.
Tuesday?
That's a Tuesday.
You said the plaque is already
Yeah, we've already ordered the,
plaque?
yeah, they've got temporary.
Yeah, I
plaque
think we
in
need to
print,
go
so
ahead and
Well,
talk with this.
Probably ought to go ahead.
Yeah.
And talk about
plaque is
Estes-
already
Estes
ordered?
Stones, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see the status, which y'all know, of most of these, Miller Park Fire Station. We did get some soil stuff back today on that, and we do have some areas that aren't stable in the back. I don't think that's a big surprise. We're gonna have to work on those. I'd tell you that move-in date is at least gonna be February of '24, probably a good day there anyway, which is not too bad.
That's not too bad.
No, sir. Next week, Buckley and Associates is meeting with the independent agencies in the health department, each facet, actually each office location, to talk about requirements inside those offices for voltage and things like that may need for machines. So they're really burrowing down into that with the hopes of trying to get that ready to bring back to you on a final look in January. The EMS Administration Training Complex, this being built under Splash 7, is in design right now by McCall and Associates, and I think we may have some draft drawings of that to look at before you're out, as a matter of fact. And
Brian,
I'm sorry.
Just got a question.
Sure.
If you go back to the Sam Harris Gym, the Miller Park Fire Station, the Health Department, and EMS right now, how many different contractors have we used? Are we using more or less some of the same ones on certain you know, I'm just,
Well, Sam Harris, Jim, your low proposer on that was Pope Construction. They were also the low proposer on road department. Miller Park is R.W. Allen, which is a company really based out of the Atlanta area. It has offices in Savannah, and Health Department nor EMS have we bid. So we generally look towards the proposer that meets the requirements. It's done facilities, if they're special facilities, comes into play. So, no, sir, I think, we've done different. The EMS station we completed, maybe that was your question too, was, Dabbs Williams, thank you.
okay.
Out of Statesboro.
Okay. I just don't want to see us get stuck with one or two companies, or contractors, because we got too many projects going on in Liberty County, and we got more people that's going to school, training, they're coming out, they want to get the experience. I know it's, so
And on all these
that's what
projects-
I'm looking at.
Yes, sir, in all these projects, we do build in the minority enterprise piece of that too, to help that out some. And I know that's worked well for us. And a lot of times, Commissioner Stevens, it's gonna depend on contractors that are able to get the bonding to do the project. If they've got too many projects loaded up at a time of year, they won't bid the project, because they ain't got the bonding capacity.
What does it take to, what's the limitation? Let's say if we run across somebody who can build the pavilion at Miller Park, that group has to be bonded, or it has to be?
Well, and we say bonded, the bond can be in several forms, but they're gonna have to put up a cash value, both on a performance bond and a bid bond under Georgia law on that, because it's a public work project.
That's the issue with, okay, that's the issue with finding a lot of additional participation from minority standpoint. It's about the money and the lack of being able to insure those particular bonds. So that's what we need to work on. Then also, we need to check out in the legislation year that's upcoming, because they're starting to look at the participation guidelines from, what was it, 100,000? I know you probably heard too. They're talking about bumping it up. So basically up to like 250,000 if I'm not mistaken. So we need to make sure that we keep our eye on that, because, yeah, something's brewing. Just let you all know.
Yeah, so anything, excuse me, anything that's $100,000 has to be advertised on the Georgia Procurement Directory, which puts it out statewide. And say statewide, but other companies outside the state also are registered on that registry, so they'll pick it up also for different aspects. And so that's, they're talking about
bumping it up to 250,000.
Right.
So
That's gonna make it worse.
Actually, anything under 250,000, it'd just be like someone bidding for a $50,000 project, where it won't have to go through the same stipulations. But we'll see how that goes. Again, it still goes back to the opportunities for smaller businesses, especially minority businesses, and the opportunities or the lack of that they have with the bonding. That's where it's the money. It's not the performance standpoint. They just don't have the money to help push to get the bonding. Just in case anything do go wrong.
Yeah, you're right. And there's what we're hearing a lot, you hear this too, from minority enterprise folks, is they're not large. I mean, they're not large companies. Some of them are. In fact, we picked up a new one on our gym project. Did a very good job. They've bid back on another project. Actually, I think they work on the road department too, but they did a great job. But most of them are not. And most of them don't have but 2 or 3 employees, and they're stretched out.
Right.
I mean, they get all the work, and they say, listen, we got plenty to do, man. I got work I can do for the next 6 months, a year. I don't need to get into those requirements. I don't have the overhead and whatever to be able to manage and do those. So there's a lot to work on.
Absolutely.
I agree. And then y'all were up to speed on the water extension stuff. I did want to make a note that the Claudia Lane, I think Trent mentioned this on his report, but those bids will be open January 4th for that project, which is good. And then we've got some, these are just the active projects. We've got some that are also on the Splosh 7 drawing board, which we don't have any activity on yet, but we're certainly not forgetting we're working on those.
Ready? Commission planning dates.
Yes, sir. Last year, I look back last year, what we want to make sure of in meeting with the staff last week is that we get our capital improvement project budgets in place to bring to y'all, so y'all get a look at the CIP before you have your planning session. In saying that, those CIPs are due back in here at the end of February, or will be wrapped up by then. And last year, you did it in March. So that's what I'm looking at. I've got before me is a March calendar to when y'all might want to try to do that. One thing I did not do, and I don't think I even have it, is Commissioner Jones' schedule that far ahead. So maybe if you can be looking at yours in March, we'll come back on mid-month. Let me see if he gets a look ahead. He can kind of try to plan out as much as possible as he can with his shift work to see when he might be available.
At March, okay. All right, we'll do that.
The other, just other couple of quick things, the Employee Service Award banquet is this Friday. As you know, December 8th, starts at 12 o'clock. So I think that Miss Maria has put a copy of the program out there in front of you. You don't mind? And then also, there is the graduation of the recruit class 4 for firemen on this Thursday, actually, December 7th at 6:30 at the Performing Arts Center. If you get a chance, it's a great ceremony for those men and women.
All right.
All right,
And
sir.
questions, that's all I've got, sir.
Anything else for good order, commissioners? All right, Chair, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second, all in favor?